last night that I drank, it was the night before my senior year of high school. And I remember, we got caught, we got drinking citations. And when we got dropped back off at home, I walked in the house and gave my dad the paperwork. And there wasn't much of a reaction from him. Like he wasn't pissed at me. He wasn't upset. And that was pretty soul crushing. That was a low point for me, that I was like, man, the person that I look up to, the person that's supposed to love me most is just like, there's no emotion there. And it was that night that I was like, fuck this, I don't want this for my life. I'm gonna get my shit together. I had big goals. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to train at the Olympic Training Center. Like, I was like, can't keep up these habits and try to call myself an elite athlete. So I just said right then and there, like, all right, I won't ever touch alcohol again. We started experimenting with drinking or drugging at a pretty young age. But most of the time it was like there was a group of us doing it, and so it never seemed out of the norm. It was like my whole group of friends were doing it, and so I was like, oh, everyone at this age is doing this. It wasn't until years later when you're swapping stories with a new friend of what your childhood was like, and you're talking about like like fourth grade after school, messing around trying these new things, and they were like, fourth grade, excuse me? And for us that was the norm. It wasn't until later that I realized I was an early bloomer in that department.
Hey, what's going on, man?
All right,
good to see you. This is just the usual 7:30 a.m. I'm Scott Stewart. I'm the founder of the Phoenix, and we work with folks in recovery from addiction and create a free, sober, active community using the transformative power of things like climbing, CrossFit, yoga, whatever it is.
Place has changed my life. That's all I have to say about that.
Make sure you got your partner.
Get it.
Multiple Phoenix friends joining us today.
Here at the Phoenix, everything we do here in this building is designed to create a safe and supportive space. I feel so lucky that I get to be in a space that abides by all these every day, because it's not a guarantee when we walk out that door. So yes, everybody has 48 hours of continuous sobriety here. That allows folks who are new to recovery, who are in long-term recovery, folks who are supporters of those in recovery to participate in this community. We ask that everybody uses positive language and spirit here towards ourselves and others. So anything that can be considered hateful, violent, offensive, threatening, racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic will not be tolerated here. Applies to body language we speak, this is the attitude we carry into the space. It affects others, so we want to make sure that is a positive one here in the space. We're going to keep our clothes on while we work out today, and we're going to make sure that everybody feels safe and supported. So if there's any injuries or anything that doesn't feel comfortable today, let me know, and we can find modifications for everything we do today. So today, icebreaker question is actually, Alex, can you stand up real quick and turn around? Our sort of motto is rise, recover, and live. So I want to focus on the rise part today. And I was just like a moment in your either past week or past year or past 10 years that you've really felt that you've embodied that spirit of rising. In whatever way, it could be in life, in school, whatever it is, something that really helped you feel like you were rising and thriving. So my name is Mike. I'm a person in recovery. I use he, him pronouns, and I was gonna say, I want to share this one, like when I was 6 months sober, here at the Phoenix was where I really started to share with people that I was sober, and that was like a breakthrough for me, because I had not told anyone before that. So that was a big moment for me of kind of owning it and letting it be part of my life. I'll go right here.
I'm Scott. I use he, him pronouns. I'm in recovery. I think my rising experience, I had a few in my life, or I wouldn't be here, but One has been just becoming a dad. Growing up with the dad I had, I didn't really know what it would be like to be a father, and because I didn't have a lot of modeling of what fatherhood should be. And I feel like I'm doing a really good job. And he's a happy little guy, and we just started walking around, turned 1 year. So,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I'd say that's mine.
I'm Matt. I'm an alcoholic. Great to be with you guys again. Good to see all of you. Rising. I made a lot of big decisions in my life, mostly work, the last couple months, and that I'm really proud of and are going great. And I probably might not have been able to make those same decisions if I wasn't in the position I'm in. So I get to work with these guys every day now, which is such an awesome thing. So that's been my most recent example.
I'm Matt, an alcoholic. Thank you guys for having us today. I'd say my rise moment is kind of the last year dealing with a new career path. It's a little bit more uncertainty than what I'm used to, but surrounding yourself with the right people, and there's always trying to do the right things, and it's working out pretty well.
And then we're going to be doing a partner workout, 15-minute AMRAP.
I never get to be taller. I'm so unprepared. This kid shows up with grips.
Anytime I have my little emergency kit.
Just so we're clear here, Alex, Sammy is using the same weight as me in this workout. So,
My partner's a stud.
but
She loves to go heavy.
the plate assortment makes it look like it's different. So
Yeah. Don't be fooled.
don't be fooled. She's like, I'm using the same weight. I was like trying to keep up. She's like, yeah.
We all know how this goes.
If I can get 2 claps and a caca from everybody, I'll start the clock. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Dream is like, you show up, maybe you're doing a 90 and 90, you're like just trying to keep it together, and you're like looking out the window, watching yoga while you're in there. You're like, dude, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Or you're doing yoga, but you never did any of that other work.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, maybe I'll get a sponsor.
Yeah.
And my buddies hit this young people's meeting after or something. So
Yeah, like I was spoiled with when I first made that change. Like Vermont is just like the meetings. Like it was my first impression of it, and then I moved to Colorado, then moved to Michigan, and bounced around, started going to meetings there. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize how good I had it in Vermont. Like going to a meeting, there's 80 people, and half of them are within 10 years of me. To like 10 years age, and they're like
That's
Colorado,
huge.
Michigan, it's like everyone's 50, 60 years old. I'm like, all right, I hear the message, but like how am I going to relate to anything? Like this doesn't seem as appealing here. In Vermont, it's like the young people's community was crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Because when I first went in the rooms here in Boston, it was just like 60-year-old guys coming out of prison and me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, I felt pretty alone. I was 24.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? So I got to do a boxing gym. There was a couple sober guys there.
Yeah.
And they became my fellowship. You
Yeah.
know? And it wasn't before CrossFit, so then when CrossFit came out, I was like, dude, this is a no-brainer.
I mean, like, I don't know how it wasn't more promoted. Like, I remember saying it to O'Keefe, and O'Keefe said, he said when he took on a sponsee, he was like, here, like, go to this gym and like hit a meeting every day, you know?
Nice to be in here.
Sure, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm enjoying the HWPO too, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I'm about 2 weeks in.
What track you on?
It's the 60. Sorry, let's do the classics. So the 90
Yeah,
minutes a day. Yeah. So
Perfect.
it's been great.
Hell yeah. Not nearly as often as I should. Like, Christ, I haven't been to a meeting in too long. Like, I mean, it's I kind of luck out. Like, O'Keefe's sober, my dad's sober. The guys in Vermont that I used to go to meetings with on a daily basis, I still talk to them, see them all the time. It's just it's not the best. Like at this point, I would like to go to meetings for the sake of other people, because I remember being newly sober and looking around a meeting and being like, what's the point of being sober? Like, nobody in here seems happy, seems accomplished. They don't have any personality traits that like I want to work towards. And so it's like, even if like for me, like I have no desire to drink, like I'm very comfortable there. But if I could be there and like to help somebody else, or like even just be an ear to chew on, you know?
I remember that my senior year, I started training 2-3 times a day. Like I would wake up before school, you know, say 5 a.m. And I remember running to the gym. It was a 1 mile door to door. So I would run to the gym, do a full weight training session, run home before the school bus came and picked us up at like 7:45. Then after school, I would go to the gym where I actually did weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting. And then usually like that night, I would, you know, do some bodybuilding stuff or core accessory work at night at home. And I was doing all this to like fill this void. You know, I just felt like I had to do something in excess. I didn't realize then, I look back at it now and I was like, oh, I was just feeding my addiction with something else. And I think that was probably the start of me realizing, I didn't realize at the time, but that was the start of me, you know, identifying that having this addictive personality can be a benefit if I'm addicted to things that have a positive outcome. You know, I'm not just an alcoholic, I'm a holic. Anything I do, I'm going to do to the extreme. If 1 is good, 2 is better, 5 is amazing. But pretty early on, you know, for me, the desire to quit drinking, or the desire to drink was gone pretty early. And I attribute that to just having a great sober community around me. And then even on those nights or those days where I was struggling, or I felt like an outcast because I felt like I had this curse of like, I can't drink normally. I had people I could call. And I was that person for other people as well. And so that made things a lot easier. And then especially once you start having some success in sobriety, that makes life a lot easier. You know, you feel like you have a purpose, you have an identity that wasn't like the party guy before. Now it's like, oh, okay, I'm living and training at Olympic Training Center, I'm having success in the sport. Or once I started going to UVM and, you know, getting good grades and pursuing like, you feel better about yourself, you feel accomplished, you don't feel like you need to retreat back to this old personality that just masked all of your emotions. And so for me, it got very easy once I started doing CrossFit, because you're surrounded by people that care about their health, that care about their recovery. So especially for me, like once I started competing in CrossFit and you're at a party and people are like, oh, you want a beer? And you're like, oh no, I'm good, thanks. And they're like, oh yeah, you probably got training tomorrow. And you're just, yeah, sure. You know, you don't have to go through that explanation. And it's so normal for so many competitors just to not drink, because like the data is there of like how much that affects your recovery and your training the next day. So people just assume you're doing it for health reasons. And you know, I don't want to have to explain to every single person that I cross paths with that, like, no, I actually quit drinking when I was 17 years old. You know, when it's applicable, you know, I will share it. But yeah, you know, especially getting into CrossFit, you know, not only are you surrounded by like-minded people, but then you're getting your daily dose of gratification, or like that is your social hour. You don't feel like you need to have a bit of a glow on to feel comfortable socializing. You're around people doing the same things as you. So there's your jumping off point for starting a conversation or a friendship.
All right. Everyone stare at me as I do this. What's going on, guys? Matt Fraser here. We are here at Athletic Brew for the day, sipping some brews, getting a tour of their brand new facility. It's their third one in Connecticut. So come along. We're going to be taking over their IG for the afternoon.
This is one of the perks of working at a brewery is an incredibly stocked beer fridge. All the latest and greatest, as well as the classics. Yeah. But yeah, we'll take you around the office. Be over soon.
Gonna have to flex on us
Wow.
like that.
I like literally can't resist. I literally can't resist. It's
Shank shot. Remember that in Dubai? Alex and I just crossed the room.
For
Should
thousands of
make like
dollars.
an athletic line.
Let's not forget that part of it.
So we once played this game over in Dubai,
You just let
and Alex Anderson and I kept backing up a little bit further, and we were like 50 feet away. And like, there's not a hope in hell that either of us are making it. And so I told Alex, like, there's no chance. I'll give you $20 if you make that shot. Somebody else walked by and was like, come on, make it worthwhile, 50. And then somebody else walked by and said, anyone makes that shot, I'll give you $5,000. Alex Anderson, first shot, sinks it, and we're like, no way. I step back to sink it. I think there was 4 of us all together that made the shot, and I just peeled off $20,000. That was a wild day.
what exactly is that?
I immediately took the money and went and rented a Lamborghini. Easy come, easy go.
and so 2% of all sales goes to trail and park cleanups it's trail maintenance, building. It could be anything from like an urban bike park to like really backwoods trail systems, like building totally new trails, or we've done stuff like moving 1,000-pound rocks off trails in New Hampshire. But yeah, last year it was 66 donations across 35 states and exceeded $1 million for the first time. And this year it'll probably be up significantly from that.
Cool. And then is that like you bring your employees together to do trail maintenance?
Oh,
or,
for
like,
sure, yeah. Yeah,
I would love
Yeah.
to get involved if you guys do any sort of like
for sure.
either Vermont, New Hampshire, like I can travel, right? But like I would love to do some trail maintenance stuff if you.
Because if you come in, you meet groups who are like,
Yeah.
we want to improve here,
Yeah.
have them write in and propose.
Okay.
We take
Yeah.
applications.
Yeah, we
great.
got like 450 applications last year, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of demand for grants. All in, this is sized for 450,000 barrels, which is 50 times the size of our original brewery. The brew house and canning line are already sized for that. We'll just add more tanks in here to grow more. 15 days fermenting in there where it actually turns into beer. Goes from like it's like a tea-like substance into beer. And then it goes to conditioning tanks for another 2 days to like work out the kinks and everything, get the right carbonation, and then it goes on to packaging.
How do you decipher it between an alcoholic beer and a non-alcoholic beer? How do you, in this process?
One has alcohol.
No, I know, but like, how do you make sure that this doesn't? Because that's a part of the fermentation process.
We could tell you, but we could do NDAs first, and then we'll just cage you up back here after. It is an all natural process. Like we don't have like preservatives that like stop the process or anything. It's all natural and just doing things with like time, temperature, and pH. And where most non-alcoholic beer has a random machine that just like nukes it and denatures it, and a lot of the like nuance of beer goes away.
Oh, okay.
We have like a process with 10 or 12 changes along the way that are all natural, really subtle, respect the ingredients and quality of beer. And so it's something that John and I worked on in a warehouse for like about a year to like figure out at a really small scale before we brought it to a different scale.
Oh my God. Smells like metal grinding.
When he came here, did he have a beer yet, or a process yet, or was it just an idea?
It was an idea.
No shit.
When we met, part of his pitch was like, I have this idea, and I don't want to do it the way anybody else has ever done it.
Yeah.
And that was part of the thing that sold me. Because I was like,
Yeah.
all right, like game on. Yeah. Because part of craft brewing is all about like experimenting, exploring, and creating new things.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, I was like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the whole concept, positive, I got kids, it's good stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to do this? So then we,
So just like basically for a year, you guys just were in a vacant warehouse tinkering.
yeah, literally on Gatorade jugs. He had already purchased this pilot equipment, like a little brew house that
Yeah.
shipped into this empty warehouse. We had no utilities, nothing set up. And he was like, we're gonna turn it on. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so we bought in all the home brewing equipment and started from scratch. So,
Holy
That's so cool.
so yeah, this
Wow.
is,
And now look at it. Oh my
And this
gosh,
is-
do you walk
this
by
is-
and you're just so proud? It's so
This is
cool.
5 years.
4 years commercially, almost.
Yeah.
And so,
That is encouraging. Like that is like, I mean starting from zero and it's like, all right, this is going to be something in 5 years, you know? And it's like, in the moment, looking 5 years in the future, it's like that's
far away.
forever. Like, can't comprehend it. I'm sure you look back and it's like, you're like, went by it like that.
oh yeah. Yeah, so it's like 5 hours on the hot side, a week to 2 weeks on the cold side, 2 days in conditioning, and then canning line.
So out of one of those big tanks, how many cans of beer?
A lot.
Yeah.
So these are 200 barrel tanks. Every barrel is 31 gallons, and every gallon has 128 ounces, 12 ounce cans.
A lot.
You can do the math.
That could do the math.
I dropped out of high school. I went to college early, and so I was able to miss those like critical science classes that were so far from interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing relatable. But if in high school,
Wait,
Like the gym.
You don't
That's
use
boring.
photosynthesis on a daily basis?
That's
I know.
boring as all get out.
if they were like, someday you can use this to make beers,
Yeah.
I might have been intrigued.
Yeah.
But this filler will do 450 cans a minute. A minute. It's pretty awesome.
If it was stuff like this that they showed me while I was in school, I might have showed a bit more interest.
I know.
But like, I remember graduating school, I was like, dude, get me the fuck out of here. I'll go pick things up and put them down for a living.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the only option was sort of like the old rules of the world. And then when Sammy brought this to me, I was like, holy shit, this is how I remember certain beers I love. Like Ipswich Ale was one of my favorite beers.
For sure.
And I literally, the blue can like brought me right back to Ipswich Ale. I was like, oh, there it is. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was, thank you. Brought
Yeah.
some joy back in my life.
Yeah, the whole goal is to, like, non-alcoholic beer was something like people always hid the label of and was ashamed of what you're drinking, put it in a glass. Like, we want something that people hold label out and are super excited about. And it's like that part of your day, the post-workout, the end of the workday, your meal pairing that's like a celebration, like your favorite part of the day.
Dude, that is so well put. So I actually, funny enough, so I was at my golf club recently and I had to explain I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
So I had the can and they're like, okay, are you okay? And I'm like, no, this is not alcoholic. And they're like, oh, okay. But it was totally always the other way. It was like
Yeah.
kind of like that sheepish.
For sure.
It is,
Yeah.
that's a really good point.
We just got a full tour of the entire operation. Super, super cool. And we're just about to do a flight of beer and do some beer tasting.
So, you know, this is our first time actually getting to meet face to face. You know, we've had a ton of communication over the last couple of years. It was kind of funny how it started. Sammy was looking for a craft beer brand for myself because, you know, I quit drinking before, you know, craft beers were popular, and, you know, she would always take a drink of the non-alcoholic beer that I was drinking with lunch or dinner, and, you know, I was like, you know, is this good? And she's like, it's okay.
It's beer.
And so she wanted to, you know, give me the experience, so she found it, and then it actually ended up in one of my posts, just organically. It was just kind of like next to my dinner on the table, and then these guys saw it, reached out to us, and they're like, hey, do you like it? I'm like, yeah, it's incredible. And then you know, it just kind of happened very organically. So
that was like the coolest moment in our company history, and like the most our phones have ever blown up. It was like Matt is the epitome of high performance lifestyle, and when he just had a post with our beer casually in his hand, it resonated throughout our community and their community, and it's been such a great partnership ever since. So super excited to have you guys on site tasting some beers.
yeah,
This is so cool.
And this is also his first flight.
yeah,
ever.
Yeah,
as-
first flight of beer.
yeah. As I walked in, I was like, I've never had a flight of beer before. You know, I've been with friends out for lunch or dinner, and they get the flight, and I'm like, I've never done it. You know, like it's not too often that you're doing a flight of beer with O'Douls. You know, so having this with you know, with different flavors, and you know, I want to hear like the backstory of each one and like the process, and you know, yeah, this is the first time for me, so I'm excited.
You guys for joining. You know, it's been a really cool day. So this is one of our tracks, Sweat. It's meant to be, you know, very low barrier to entry, very time conscious. So there's no high skill barbell movements, no high skill gymnastics movements. It's literally just getting you moving, really simple, and you know the time intervals are very generous. So
Another day in the HWPO training business, and Sammy wipes her ass with me on a workout. It's kind of how we roll. Did she already talk shit? Yeah.
I'm good for one thing. I'm consistent. I'm definitely gonna win. You can't actually win in sweat, but I win every time. Obviously.
but for the first 5 minutes, this is just for quality. We good?
I'm watching you, Sammy.
Great work, everyone.
Nice one, coach. All right, everybody grab a beer.
What's going on, guys? Matt Fraser here. Got a fun little challenge for you. We're gonna hold one 6-pack in each hand. We're gonna go from seated to standing without putting our hands on the ground. Fun little challenge. See if you can do it. Try it at home. Hook it like a bowling ball. Oh, I don't know. I forget. So sit in the L-sit position.
You know this isn't happening. So sit like this.
Yeah.
And then what do I do?
Hey, you can't put your hands on the ground. Now stand. Try to stand. Nope, wrong way. Wrong way. There it is. Now, if anyone would like to bench press, I'm going to be sticking around, trying to catch a pump.